Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Art 186, Computer Graphics with Adobe Illustrator for the spring semester 2022. Today, we're going to continue with our orientation as well, to answer any questions you might have that I didn't answer on Tuesday or have come up since then. There's a couple of things that I want to review to make sure that we're on the same page. And then in addition to that, I received email about a couple of questions, got a couple of questions about the first lesson, which is there really isn't much for you to do other than to read the chapter and to go over the layout of the page, orientation of Illustrator. And that's what I'll do. I'll go over that today a little bit, so that you better understand how Illustrator works and where everything is located. Before I do, though, one of the things that I want to make sure that everybody has, I haven't looked recently, but I will a little bit later to make sure that everybody is set up for Google Drive. So let's go ahead and check that out. And so that we can so that you can turn in all of your assignments there. Okay, so hold on one second. Trying to move things around on my desktop here. So there we go. So I'm going to move this over here. This is my Google Drive folder. So some of you still haven't emailed me, and I haven't sent you an invitation, but here's 3 down and 5 over. So that would be 15 minus a couple. So that's 14. We still have, we have maybe half the class. So it's really important that you email me so that I can add you to our shared Google Drive folder, which is where you will turn in your lessons and your assignments. Okay, I separate those things. Lessons are from the textbook, assignments are the projects that I give you. Remember, there are 4 of them throughout the semester. And the first one that we'll talk about in another week or 2 will be the mask assignment, but you need to kind of get up to speed with Illustrator first. So we'll do a series of lessons first, and then as you complete the lessons, and I'll remind you each week where you should be, and go ahead and make sure that they're uploaded to your file. And then midterm, I'll give you a midterm grade for those, and probably have 1 or 2 projects under your belt as well. So anyway, if you look in any one of these folders for each individual student, you'll see that I put additional folders. So for your assignments, you'll put them in there, and you'll put the lessons that you complete inside the lesson folder. In each folder, I want to make sure that you put the original AI or Adobe Illustrator files, not JPEGs or PNGs or PDF or whatever. I want to see the original files. And that's why I've opened up Google Drive, because it allows me to do that. Okay, then I can see your progress, your work in progress as you work on these lessons and assignments, both. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to touch on quickly, let's go to my website here. Just as a reminder, where you have access to all of my recorded videos from past semesters. I've been doing this for a couple of years now. So just as you're listening to me now, that's how these will sound. Make sure that you know where they are. Go under Kirk's classes and go to video tutorials. It will take you to all of my playlists for all of my classes. And it's taking a bit to load up, but here they all are. Okay. So if we look here, you can see for this semester, as I record these individual webinars, they will be loaded here. So you may or may not need to view them. The ones that are a little bit more complete are what you will find down here. So for example, this last summer, the summer of 2021, which was the last time I taught the class, I put in, here are all the, let's go ahead and look at the full playlist. Here are all the videos. Okay, starting with my orientation video. Here's the that was, I don't know why that's there. That shouldn't be there. That's from my Art 195 class. I can remove that. Anyway, here's for lecture 1, lecture 2, 3, 4, and on the way down. Okay, till we get to lecture, well, the last one, this I believe is lecture 21 is and 22 are lessons 14. So we're doing 1 through 14. And today, as I said, I'll review lecture or lesson 1. So that's where all of these are recorded. And you can play them at the normal speed, the faster speed. You can stop, rewind, download them if you want or not. It's totally up to you. Now, I did receive an email from someone. Hold on here. I'm going to go back to here for a minute. Go back to 186. I don't know whether it was for Photoshop or this class. Oh, it was for this class that they were using the Illustrator 2019 textbook. So let me go ahead and I uploaded those tutorials and they are a little bit different, not much. Some of them changed a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to change the color for this. So let's change the color and make it a nice bright red too. So you can see that these are the folders for the lessons. If you're using the 2021 lesson files, then you'll find them here. If you're using an older version here, if you need the 2020 files, I probably have those around someplace. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Okie doke. Anytime. Feel free to. Okay, there's a new message down here. Sounds good. Okay. So yeah, I don't know why they make it difficult or challenging, or they make you jump through a few hoops to actually get these lessons, but you have to go through Peach Pit Press and there are instructions at the beginning of the textbook. So as to how to do that. So with that said, let's go ahead and let's look at lesson 1 just a little bit. So one of the things that they talk about in here is cover the layout and the organization of the desktop in Adobe Illustrator. And for those of you who have used any other of the Adobe products, they're really all about the same. Over to the left, you're going to find all of your tools. Okay, that's where these are. And here are your selection tools, your move tools, and then we get moved down to pen tools and the type tool and shape tools. There's a whole bunch of them that when you watch the videos, go over in detail. Along the top, I like having the options menu up here so that when I select, you don't have to have that. But when I select any one of these tools, for example, if I select the brush tool, let's go ahead and select that. Is it changing? No, why isn't it changing? Let's select shape. No, it's not showing here. I don't know why. Let's deselect. And there we go. So by deselecting the shape, by selecting the shape tool here, you'll notice that the options menu along the top changes. And there's a lot of redundancy that's built into Adobe Illustrator. So what you'll find up here, like I want my fill, see my fill color and change it. Well, that's up here, it's down here, and it's over here. And there's probably a couple more places that I can find it. In fact, I know there is. If I were to go to my window menu and bring up appearance, which I think is a very important panel over here, you'll see that I can change the fill color from here. That's for the whole path, but if you want to target the stroke or the fill, you can do that from here. Okay, so that's what this is. This is the options menu, and it will give you the placement of the object that you select, the size, if you wish to rotate it, if you wish to make into a line, if you want to look at different color, artwork selections to recolor it, you can do that from up here. Whole bunch of things. But then up at the upper right-hand corner as well, if I click over here, I can arrange documents from there. I can also go up here and switch the workspace. That's what I want to show you. Right now, I'm set to Essentials Classic. If I switch to Essentials, notice that the top menu usually goes away. Come on. There we go. That goes away. And we just use the panels over to the right. But because I've been using this program a long time, I kind of like Essentials Classic. I like seeing that options menu along the top. So over to the right, you'll have, if nothing is selected, so let's use the selection tool here and let's deselect. But every time you select an object and everything that you create in here, every shape is a separate object. It's very different than Photoshop. So over to the right, it will give you all of its properties. So if I select any one of these elements, and here, if I use the direct selection tool, and I select this crescent, notice how the properties over here change. It gives me a fill, there is no stroke, it shows the opacity, and so on and so forth. It will give me the X and Y coordinates, and it will give me the width and the height over here. And if I want to change any of those properties, I can from here, up here, over here, and so on and so forth. Okie doke. So if you look carefully at Illustrator, and just to let you know that you have a whole bunch of undos available to you. Command Z or Control Z is your friend, because if you decide to make a change or that you made a mistake, just hit Command Z and continue to do that, and you can go back in time, so to speak, and redo things. Can't always do that when you're working in watercolor, you're working in other with other real world kind of materials. But if we look at this illustration to the left, which is a nice kilowatt islands here, kind of a logo, that all of these elements are separate. And if you look at it really carefully, if I bring up the layers panel right here, you can see that it's broken down. I have an original design up here that I will show you how to add it to this one in a minute. But if we turn this off, okay, whoops, let me go back over here, select that again. There we go. If I turn off the type, notice that that goes away. If I turn up the main design, that goes away. But it looks like the main design is just one element. But if you open that up, if you hit the little twirly right here, it shows that there are lots and lots of shapes that comprise that one group of elements. Okay. So that's on it. These are on separate layers. And then if we want to look at the sky, that's there. They divided it into that. And then we have just the background shape there. And you can turn them off, turn them on by using the little eye icon. In addition to that, just to let you know, with Illustrator, even though a layer may be turned off, when you go to print it, it will print unless you specify differently. And you do that by double clicking on the layer. And then you decide here, do you want it to print or not? Right now, notice that that is checked, that it will print, even though it's not showing. If I say, go ahead and show, then I can turn off printing here. Okay. Now, if you're in Photoshop, different animal altogether. If layers are turned off, they will not print. Okay. So just to let you know that all of these are comprised of lots of different little shapes. Oftentimes, when you're designing logos such as this, you want to find elements that you can repeat so that it kind of reduces your workload. For example, if you look at the palm trees on the left are the same as the right, and there are tools that you have that allow you to mirror them. There are tools that allow you to multiply and change them in any number of ways and very efficiently to reduce your workload. And so the nature of commercial art is that they want things done fast. They want things done really well, quality, and they don't want to pay much money for it. That's just the nature of the beast. So what you need to do for yourself is to make sure that you understand the tools well and that you master them, and that when you're working, you're not thinking about Illustrator that much. You're just thinking about completing your design. And in doing so, the quicker you work and the more efficiently you work, the more money you will make, typically, for a particular job. If they're paying you $1,000 to design this, and it takes you a week, divide 50 hours into 1,000, and it's not all that much, okay, per hour. If they give you $1,000 and it takes you 10 hours to do, not so bad, okay? But that's still not a lot of money. So, you have to decide for yourself, what you're willing to work for. And again, since time is money, it will take time to learn these applications and to master them. Anyway, one of the things that some of you wanted to know is that how to take this design and bring it over here. Now, there's a variety of ways that we can do that. If we look at the design over here, I would do it a little differently. So let's look at layers so we can see what's going on here. So here is a number of layers that they've made. So here's one for shadows. Here's the background t-shirt layer. And I'm going to go ahead and lock that so it doesn't accidentally move around or get selected. That's what this little tool is for. This one right here is the overall design. And again, when you twirl down, you can see that it's been broken down into groups. And if you go within those groups, that's what I'm going to do in a minute, then you see all those individual elements. And you can have groups within groups within groups. They can all be nested in one another, and they can get quite complex. So that there is no one way of doing this. It will be determined by how you choose to organize your workflow. And that will take time. And every project will probably be a little bit different, unless there are projects that you do that are very similar to one another, and you'll have kind of a standard workflow for yourself. Okay, so that's sort of what we're going to do here. I'm going to come in here, and I would do it a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn off this layer, make sure that this one is selected. Okay, so we're going to bring in a new layer. But if I click one element, if I just click in here and I drag it over, come on. Notice that I'm not taking the whole thing. Come on, bring it over. There we go. That's not going to work because you're going to forget forget all those elements. Now I would do it a little bit differently because the t-shirt is than what they have done. Because the t-shirt is a deep blue, you can see that we already have a deep blue in here. Okay, so if I click on that background and I move that color, no, that's not working for me. Let's go back and let's click down here. And maybe that's the one. Okay, we really don't need that for our, if it was actually going to be printed. Okay. So I'm going to hit Command A to select all, and I'm going to wind up, I'm going to turn this into a group. Select all, and then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to hold down the Shift key and I'm going to deselect that back element. Or let's just go ahead and, no, I didn't want to do that. Let me select all, Command all, come back here, hold down the Shift key, use the Move tool, and I want to deselect that. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and lock that shape instead. See, when you have, it's kind of like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. When they're all combined like that, it's difficult to, to isolate individual elements. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one element again, make sure that this is the one that I want. I'm going to go ahead and that's my background image here in the original folder. And maybe I will need it. You know what? I thought maybe I don't, because that's what they use for the shadow. But let's try it without it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock it so that I can't select it. And then I can go ahead and I can hit Command A to select all the other parts. And then what I want to do is I want to group them together. So I can either hit key command, which is Command G, or I can go up to Object, and it will be Group, Command G, Ungroup is Shift Command G. So for some things, you're going to want to memorize key commands sooner rather than later. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and hit Command G. And notice that it changes its appearance a little bit. And now I can just simply drag it over. Now, the way I did this, have both of these files appear at the same time, two separate files, is that you can go to View and I can look at, maybe it's under Window, sorry. I can go to Arrange and I can go to Workspace. Let's go to Arrange. Right now, I can go ahead and we can consolidate all in windows. We can float in a window. We can float all in windows. So there's a variety of ways of doing that. And I decided to show both. Now, to combine these two, all I have to do is click and drag and move it over. And that's it. Okay, and it's obviously a little bit too big. It's not like I removed it from the original one, but now I need to resize it and I need to tweak it so that it fits. And there's a variety of ways that you can resize it, a variety of ways that you can tweak it. Let me go ahead and go back to Window, and under Arrange, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to minimize the window. No, I didn't want to do that. My mistake, my bad. I wanted to, I don't normally do this. So I want to go to Window. Let's go again to Arrange. And I want to, let's float in Window. Let's do that. No, there we go. So now it's by itself. And the other one hasn't gone away. It's just that it's out of our view for right now. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and I can resize it. I can do that by making sure that I have the selection tool here. And I can go ahead and shrink it down. If I hold down the Shift key, and this is where you need to be careful with these, because if I just click and I drag, see how it can be distorted? And if that's your desired result, then more power to you. That's the way it works. But if you want to constrain the proportions, you need to hold down the Shift key and drag it, and it will lock it into the original proportions that you set. Now I can move it into position, okay, until it fits. Okie doke. Now, because it doesn't really conform to his t-shirt, there are a variety of tools that we have available to us that allow us to distort it to fit it. With this selected, I can go ahead and I can use, let's see, it's under Edit here. Come on. I can use Puppet Warp. Is it Puppet Warp here, or is it over to Object? I'm forgetting at the moment. And my computer's bogging down. So please be patient. Okay, let's go back to Object and let's see here. I want Puppet warp, puppet warp. I'm probably staring right at it and I don't see it. Another one that I want though, let's do it a different way. Puppet warp would be one way. I can come in here and we can go to edit, and I can go to, I'll just do it from over here, over to the tools. I'll just go ahead and select our free transform tool. I can get to the puppet warp tool from here, but what I want to be able to do, and I'm not seeing anywhere here why it won't allow me to do this. Let's try puppet warp. I can, reconform this piece so that it allows me to distort it in a variety of ways. So I have some basic pins here, and I can go ahead and I can add a pin up here. Let's go ahead and do that. And then let's go ahead and then click and drag, and you can see how it's warping it and it's twisting it. And I can go ahead and I can move this one, or I can move this around a little bit. It's a pretty neat tool, and it will work quicker for you when you're not publishing anything. You're not, online like I am. Now I can come in here and I can, slightly tweak this, or tweak it, considerably if I want. And then when I'm done with it, I'll go ahead and I can turn it off. So let's go back and it will finish it up. There we go. Now, this doesn't look exactly the way the book is. I've tweaked it a little bit too much and it looks kind of bizarre. So since I don't like it, I'm just going to undo it. Go back all those steps. No harm, no foul. So you shouldn't ever be afraid of doing anything in this program. The one that I wanted to use though, let's see if my computer is working a little bit quicker now, is I want to create, oh shoot. Let's go ahead with envelope distort. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make with mesh. Okay, so this turns into a mesh. You can determine how many rows and how many columns you want. I'll just stick with the 4. And now I can take in here and I can move this over just ever so slightly. Come on. Let's move this in here. No, let's undo. Let's use my direct selection tool. Deselect, come back over and select again. Now let's go ahead and move it over. There we go. Notice that if I really wanted to tweak this, I could. So it's a way after you have designed something, you can really reform it in a variety of ways. Okay. So what you would want to do is to conform this so that it fits to the fellow's t-shirt. And then when you're ready, if you want to apply it to the other shirt as well over here, then we can go ahead and I can click on this. Let's get done with the puppet warp, or the warp. Be done with that. I'm done with warping it. I just want a regular. Now I can hold down the Option key and the Command key, and I can make a copy of it all. And I can bring it over here. So there you go. Okay. So very nice. Notice how it fits in there quite nicely. We can move that, resize it a little bit, and my screen is going kind of wonky here. I don't know why. It won't do that when you're doing this. So there you have it. That's all this is covering. It's taking artwork that you've created in Illustrator, and it's importing a photographic image. And then once you've done that, lock that layer, and then you can bring the other elements on top. Okay. or move them up and down in layers any way that you see fit. Or if you just wanted to rotate this, we could do that. Any number of things that we can do. Free transform tool is really quite nice. So that's the one. This is so small on my screen, it's so hard to see. That's the rotate tool. I don't want that. I just want free transform. Well, I'll use the rotate tool. So we can click on here. I'm done with the mesh, so I don't want that anymore. So let's go back again. Object, envelope mesh, just reset with warp. Whoops, didn't want that. See how it changed the other one? I thought I didn't. Let's cancel that. That's no good. So let's make sure that nothing is selected. Maybe that's the problem I had. You have to remember to deselect things when you're done. Okay. So now that I have this selected, I can go back and do whatever I want with it. Let me go ahead and pause my recording for a minute. Go ahead and I'm going to do this again. I apologize. Let me delete this. And let me delete this. And let's do this over again. That's why I don't like to pause recordings. But anyway, to repeat what I just told you is that the difference between Photoshop and Illustrator is that Photoshop is a raster bit/bitmap image, and Illustrator is an object / vector image. What does that mean? Let me go back again. I'm going to use my ellipse tool, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill it with a pattern. Oh, come on. There we go. Well, let's go ahead and move it over. And again, if I zoom way in, and again, I apologize for this, not turning that back on. Again, perfectly smooth curves. And again, I do this in my other recorded videos. Now, if I want, I can go ahead and make a copy of this. I'm going to hold down the Option and the Command key. I'm going to click and drag and move it over. And now I'm going to rasterize it. So if I go up to Object and I select to rasterize, and I go ahead and I'm going to leave it as a white background, you'll see the difference because raster objects can only be rectangular. Now, there are exceptions to that. There are ways of creating masks so that they're saved so that you can have transparent backgrounds, but I'm not going to get into that today. Anyway, by doing that and rasterizing at 72 pixels per inch, when I zoom in now, you can see that those curves are, you can see all the individual pixels that they're dithered. Okay, it's not smooth like the other. So when you're working in Photoshop, you need to know three things. You need to know the size that you're eventually output. You need to know the resolution, and you need to know the device that you're using to print it. With Illustrator files or vector files, it doesn't matter. You can use the same file for everything, whether it be put on some stationery or a large truck or building. It really doesn't make any difference. Okay. I don't know how many minutes I've lost on this, and I don't know how to go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this file. But that's fundamentally the difference between working in Illustrator versus working in Photoshop. Let me go to Window again. And I want to make sure that I'm viewing I may have closed it by mistake. Let me go ahead and open file 1 so we can see this again. I'm going to go ahead and open it again. Open recent. I'm going to make sure that I have the start file 1 open as well. There we go. Another way that you can view this to see how these shapes are constructed is you can turn off preview. So to do that, you go under view and you view it as outline, and you can see all the intricate shapes that are used to construct this. As I mentioned, some of these things you can always duplicate, you can always mirror them. There's some, really nice tools at your disposal to combine shapes to create difference in shapes. You'll have pen tools to create nice smooth curves as we get into this. There are just tools for everything. As I said, there's a lot of redundancy built into this program. So you will have the opportunity this semester to experience all of it, as far as I know. And hopefully you'll have fun doing some of these projects once you get up to speed. I think the mask, if you allow yourself, will be kind of fun. So I'm going to go back to view, and that will be your first assignment after you do these. And I'll bring preview back on. Okay. So if there isn't anything else that you have that you want me to cover, then please let me know. And I can talk to you individually when we're done, or if there's something more needs to be said for today's talk, let me know. Next week, you should be working on lesson 2 and 3. Okay, lesson 2 will be how to select shapes, and lesson 3 will be, I forget, but lesson 2 and 3. Okay, so, okay, well, you have a great weekend too. Everybody knows that this is a holiday weekend. So if you have Monday classes, there probably won't be any webinars. I know I will not be having one. And then that'll be it. We'll meet again on Tuesday, and I'll cover some of the basic principles of the next lesson. And again, be sure and watch the video recordings. They're okay. Michelle, yeah. Go ahead, you can talk.
I just had a quick question. So I know that you previously mentioned that you said if we couldn't attend both the webinars, we wouldn't be docked, or we wouldn't.
Right.
So how do we we just check in with you by submitting like our assignments or like our.
Just email me once a week.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And just say, you know what, this is Michelle. Just checking in. I don't have any questions right now, or if you want an individual webinar that's at a better time for you, then we can do that as well.
Okay, awesome. I only ask because I'm planning to go back to work soon. I'm on a leave of absence, and I don't know that they'll accommodate to my school schedule, so I might not always be able to make it to the webinars, but I obviously will do the classwork and stuff. Just my work kind of sucks with accommodating to like.
I understand completely. Just it's easy to lose track of time and to fall behind. So I caution you about that. And but I know with a full work schedule and stuff, it's very difficult. The other thing is the webinars that I offer really aren't mandatory. I consider them ancillary, extra. I'm trying to duplicate what I did when I was actually in class to make myself available to everybody and, talk to you and help you online. But then because this class is technically an online class and it's taught asynchronously, you shouldn't have to talk to me at all. But I'm not used to teaching that way. So.
No, I appreciate the additional help. Like, since I'm still available to, come to class is why I'm attending and, trying to soak in everything. But just in case, like, I do go back, soon, hopefully not. Just wanted to make sure, like, in case you don't see me in class.
Yeah, no. Just stay in touch. And then when I see the emails, then I'll make sure that your attendance is checked. Just so that,
Awesome.
you know, and it helps me to know that you're still involved in the class, because more often than not, students just disappear and I don't hear from them at all
Oh no,
until the very end of the semester, and I don't know what they're doing, you know, so,
Thank you, Professor. Appreciate it.
okay, thank you. I hope that helps other people as well. So, anybody else need to talk? I'll go ahead and I'll lower your hand. Nobody else? Okey doke. Okay, yeah, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, it's the only way I know how to teach, really. So anyway, have a good weekend. Oh, and Q&A, hold on, there's a question in here. Yes, it would. It'd be considered a weekly check-in, sure. But for everybody who is here, it's easy for me to check the attendance. But if you can't be here and, you know, people's schedules change, that's okay. Just email me once a week and say, hey, this is, you know, Brissa, is that right? I'm just checking in. I don't have any questions. Things are fine. And I'll make sure that you get credit for participating in the class. Okay. Okie doke. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to say goodbye. I'll pause the recording again, and this will be posted on our YouTube channel in about an hour or so. Okay, you guys have a good weekend too. Okay, bye-bye.